Hello and welcome to Blueprints for Life. I'm Peter C. Hayward.
I'm Nicole Cutler.
And this is a show about making your brain work for you. Were you trying to say it? Were you going to say the intro?
No, I was going to try to mess you up on purpose.
I was going to say, I have one job on this show, and it's to say the intro. If you take that away from me, I've got nothing. Nicole, I have a little bit of follow-up for us today. Last time we spoke about rules brain, as you may remember. We did an episode about it. I found a Reddit thread that immediately made me think about rules brain that I wanted to bring up, which is someone was talking about the Billy Joel song Uptown Girl. And they were saying, Uptown Girl, song from the 80s, I'm sure you know it, live in an uptown world. And they were like, he got it exactly wrong. Like, uptown is actually where the different type of people live, and downtown is where these people live. And the comments had to be like, yeah, the song is 45 years old. And like cultural shifts happen in 45 years. And the person just like, it had never occurred to them that a true fact in a song in the 80s would not necessarily be a true fact now. And they leapt straight to like, therefore, was it a prank? Was he just wrong? It's just this, I just thought this really like funny example of rules brain in action, where it's like, it is this way now, therefore it's always been this way.
Well, it's really interesting how things can like not only shift over time, but like literally like crisscross, right?
Yes.
Like how Democrats and Republicans in the 1900s were like it just flipped over time, right?
Yeah. Just a 180. It's such a weird thing. I think I even brought this example up on the previous episode. Like, Pink is girls, blue is boys, whereas that wasn't the case. Red was boys because of soldier outfits or something like that, and pink was babies generically, and blue was a feminine color. Like, actually, I think Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Snow White is wearing blue because that was the feminine color at the time, and this is media that like exists in our lifetime. The example I always think of, the one that blew my mind when I learned about it, was like, today we think of men as the sexually voracious ones and women as the passive receivers of sex. Like, that's kind of the ideology that we have around sex in a broad societal sense. Whereas in the ancient Roman times, women had to be waited on by eunuchs, people who had no genitals, because you couldn't trust a woman around a penis. If you put a woman near a penis, she was going to be sexually voracious about it. So that's why eunuchs existed as servants.
I would really be interested in diving deeper into that, because I have read that, whether you told me about it, you sent me a link or whatever. I have heard that before this moment. But I'm curious to know like how factual that is based or like how much that is like misogyny, for example, like women weren't pilots because they just weren't smart enough. Like how much of it was actually like socialized, but not factual to the time, right?
Yeah, what I'm saying is it's all socialized. Like, men and women in reality, as far as reality exists, want sex the same amount. Like, we are biologically programmed to just want sex so the species can continue. It has very little or nothing to do with gender, but the socialization, again, I might have used this example last time. I know it was just a week ago, but it's just all gone out of my head. Women were the first programmers. Programming was a woman's job.
So like just it's completely irrelevant and just entirely a social bias that has nothing to do with how we're actually feeling as people.
Yes, that's genuinely my belief. And this, I'm not an anthropologist, I'm not a scientist, but like anything that you think of as, oh, that's a woman's thing, that's a man thing, I believe it's 99.9% socialized, and you can find examples throughout history of it just being the opposite. Now, there are some very basic biological stuff, like men. It's easier for men to lift heavier things. Like,
right, but there's socialization where it's like definitely doesn't actually matter or have any impact, and then there's socialization where we are this way because we were told that we're this way, and some kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I would believe that men tend to be a little bit more
sexually voracious is the term I've been
using. Sexually voracious than women as on an average, but I would also believe that is directly impacted by our society saying that it's that way and us being socialized into that.
Yeah, I might not be being clear. That's exactly my point. That's 100% what I'm saying. I'm not saying the ancient Romans were biologically different. I'm saying that biologically humans have always been humans, but the socialization made us be like, men are like this, women are like this. Therefore, therefore we're like, oh, that is true.
Right. I mean, but we're having two separate conversations, right? Because what we're saying in one scenario, the current scenario is that it may have become true over time because of socialization. But what I'm saying about the ancient Romans is like maybe it was never true. Maybe it was just a misconception
I'm also
of
saying
women.
it was never true.
Okay. But I'm saying like I believe that now it could be true that men tend to be sexually voracious, more sexually voracious, just that it's because of the socialization. Like it's
it's a chicken and egg situation.
Because we've instilled that into our psyche that they just it's become part of our.
I think I'm trying to, and I'm not doing a very good job. I'm trying to talk about two separate levels, like the true in a vacuum fact, and then the how we behave, which are
right. Okay.
in my mind two separate things, and the membrane between them is socialization. So if you go on the internet these days, you can't help but find stuff about avoidant people or like narcissists or whatever, and you will find people arbitrarily assigning it to gender. So like I was reading a really interesting thread about either narcissism or avoidance or something like that. And I went to the comments, never go to the comments. Bad idea. Shouldn't have done that. And every comment was like, yeah, men are really like this. And I was like, oh, it never occurred to me that like people would see this as a gendered thing because I've experienced some of these things from as a man dealing with women. And I think that there are a lot of things, a lot of things that are just strictly true about humans, but then we go like, this is a male thing, and because we go, this is a male thing, it's confirmation bias. You notice it when men do it, and you don't, or you dismiss women doing it as the exception. And so, sexual voraciousness is one of them. And another one, oh crap, I had it, it's gone. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think that it's really interesting as humans how we process data because, for example, points are made about how we have unnecessary child safety, car seats because people used to like ride in the back seat and they were fine. And we absorb data like, well, yes, but proof that some people are fine is not necessarily proof that it was okay. It's just we're not factoring how many deaths there were into that analysis. Like, absolutely, you were fine. So I think that is what I was wondering if there was a factor. I think we're talking about the same
I remembered
thing.
My example. So
okay.
You're going to represent normie society here. You've got men, you've got women. We're also living in a gender binary for the sake of this example. We're really going deep into this. Of the two genders, the only two genders that exist, this is not my actual belief. This is for the sake of the hypothetical.
Someone clip that.
Which is the dominant gender and which is the submissive gender? You're playing the role of normie Nicole. That's what we'll call you.
I guess normie Nicole would say that men are like.
You can say it. It's okay. This is
someone's
going
to clip this. Men are the dominant gender and women are the subservient gender.
So this is what we believe as a society, right? We've just accepted this. And I'm talking like full BDSM, like in that world. The stats that I've read are 70% of all people, regardless of gender or sex or anything like that, are submissive. 30% of all people are dominant. And this is just across the board. Now, obviously, you can't strictly split it into a binary like that, but this is what the stats suggest. And you go like, well, hang on, how do we have this idea that one is the submissive gender and one is the dominant gender when the stats don't reflect that? And that's what I'm talking about. We have this idea, therefore we notice it more, therefore. And if you think about it in these terms, it suddenly makes a lot more sense why dominatrix is a career in a way that dominant men isn't. Because there is a huge swathe of men who wish to be submissive and you're not allowed to. You can't go seeking that because that's not how it's meant to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but and this is a completely unrelated thought, but while you were asking me to say which gender was more dominant versus subservient, or submissive.
I wasn't asking you, to be clear. I was asking Normie Nicole, our call-in audience.
Right.
Member.
While you were asking that, while I was processing it, it almost felt like a trick question because when it's like considered good to be dominant, like where I'm the male and I'll bring home the bacon and things like that,
right.
it societally it does feel like men. But in that moment, I was like, wait. But also like the old ball and chain and gotta ask my wife. And I feel like in that scenario, it's actually the woman that I would call dominant, but only because it's negative, right? So it's really fascinating.
That's the membrane I was talking about. There's like what we actually are, which is just a 70-30 split across the board. What society sees us as, or what how we act, and the membrane is socialization, making us act like. And you see this in sitcoms, you see this in people you see this all the time. Where in a healthy functioning marriage, the woman is the one calling the shots and driving the stuff, and the man is like, I'll just go along with it. And we mentally, some part of his like, that's an aberration, whereas in fact it's probably as common as the other one, but we just notice it more, or it seems weird. I'm going to talk about our mutual friend Anne, who I met on literally the same day as you. She is a high-flying executive in a fancy business. She runs her life like she's very good at all that kind of stuff. And because it's 2026, we don't question it. But had she been the exact same person in, 1954, then she would have been running the house and doing a lot of stuff, but not been seen as the high-flying, successful one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just as much intelligence, just as much capability to like drive
Ambition.
a thing,
Yeah.
but in a role in which you are not paid.
Yes, and this is, and now we're really tangenting. This is where alimony comes from. The concept of alimony is that when a husband and wife have a marriage and the husband has an amazing career, the wife was as much behind that as the husband was through like all the behind the scenes stuff of like hosting dinners and organizing this and blah, blah, blah. And so when they get divorced, the husband's like, well, it's my career. I should have all the money. The idea of alimony is like, well, actually, she kind of like owned half of that career, so you should pay her for the work that she did in that career because of blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this has been the longest follow-up ever.
I mean, I could keep going on this topic. We could just completely change the point of the episode.
This was rules brain in terms of socialization and historical aspects and that. But we have a really exciting topic that I do want to get into. Nicole, do you want to talk about our topic?
Yeah, our topic is scarcity versus abundance mode.
And this we actually dove into a little bit in our first episode. Our first episode just went up, 4 days ago, so it's very fresh in mind for me. So I'm going to try not to just recover that ground, but we did talk about the very base concept, and I'm going to use the toilet paper example. It's the example that I use to think about this. During COVID, we couldn't buy toilet paper, and so suddenly getting toilet paper, we were in scarcity mode. Toilet paper was scarce, and so if you saw toilet paper, you grabbed toilet paper. And if you saw 10 toilet paper, you grabbed them all and ran because you didn't know when you were going to see toilet paper again. That's scarcity mode. Abundance mode is the way that I'm going to say most of us listening to this deal with toilet paper today, which is you just know it's going to be there. If not in the cupboard, it will be at the store. You don't have to be like, well, when am I going to get my next hit, man? When am I going to get some more toilet paper? That's the essence of scarcity versus abundance mode.
It's kind of another form of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like if you believe it to be true, you're actually going to cause it to be true because you're contributing to the thought process and making it that much more extreme.
Yeah, a run on the market or a run on the bank, like in It's a Wonderful Life at the end, where everyone's like, I want my money. And the bank doesn't actually have everyone's money in the bank. Jimmy Stewart's like, it's not the money. I can't do impressions. The money's not here. It's in Bill's house and George's house. And so that's scarcity mindset causing scarcity. And similarly, my philosophy is abundance mindset causes abundance. I believe we talked about the Taylor Swift example as well, but do you want to dive into that? The conversation you and I had over Slack, years ago now. Do you want to tell that tale?
Yes. Okay. So I was in the thick of newborn, postpartum, second baby, and we were not freshly out of COVID, but it was still pretty recent. So this would have been early 2023. I've got 3 years. Right. The 3 years I lived.
Time is wild.
I guess it's not freshly, but yes, it was fairly recent. And I hadn't really been away from our children for more than a night or two ever because it was my entire life. It was everything. And at that point, we now had the new baby. I was exhausted, not sleeping. And Peter's like, you need to just take a break. You need to just get away. You need to go do something. And I said, I can't do anything. I'm like, not that I'm not allowed, but it just seemed inconceivable.
I think it's fair to say you got a little bit pissy. You're a little bit like, sure, Peter, I'll just get away. That's easy for you to say. You don't understand. I literally cannot do that. That's not on the table at all. That's not an option.
I mean, to be fair, my days were literally taking care of the baby, waiting for him to go to sleep, pumping, and then washing it, and then the baby was awake again. Like I
I'm not
lived
saying
to be
you were
this
unfair
baby's...
to be pissy. I'm just saying that like you were locked into like not an option.
It's
go
just
away.
not an option. Rules brain. So then I finally accepted, like, actually, I need a break. And the people in my life rallied around me to make it happen, make me feel like I could do that, which was wonderful. But then it was, well, what am I going to do? And he said, if you could do anything right now, anything in the world, what would you do? And I was, Taylor Swift had just started her Eras tour, which was all the songs she had ever done. Not all of them, but all the albums.
It was an 11-hour concert with every single song she's ever
like a
sung.
300. Anyway, yeah. It was a long-ass concert. It was amazing. And I said, that's what I would want to do. But then there was so much pressure about, well, I can't do this regularly. I need to enjoy it. It needs to be perfect. It needs to be right. And there was so much pressure around it because it was like the only time it was ever going to happen. And you told me about Scarcity and Abundance. So take it away, Peter.
3 months later, 2 months later, you were at a Taylor Swift concert, and the important thing wasn't going to the Taylor Swift concert, because I know that's not a possibility for most of us. Go ahead.
For clarity, it was 3 weeks later that I was at a Taylor
wow.
Swift concert. Yeah, it was like
time.
this shit.
and the important thing wasn't literally going to Taylor Swift. It was believing that you could. I mean, obviously, I had emotional investment in you as a friend having a good time, but you felt completely trapped, and again, not unfairly. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, Nicole, just raise 2 kids and don't feel trapped. What's the issue? But it was overloading you. It was overwhelming you.
At that point, I hadn't been away from my kids for more than 2 nights. Jack was 3. And so, like, that was a significant point of time. But being willing to accept it as a possibility really opened the door. And that was the first time. But I've been able to step away from them every few months since then. And that's been 3 years now. I regularly leave between 4 and 7 times a year between, personal things and work. And it went from seeming inconceivable to just my normal. And there's a lot of juggling to do, and there's a lot of trust and village and all that and giraffe people. But it's just so fascinating to me how I went from like, this is not even on the table to, okay, I've got to do the work to get the systems in place. But once you see how it can work, it opens your mind up to like how to plan for it better next time and how to make it smoother. I'm in full abundance mode.
And so the mental shift from scarcity mode to abundance mode is more important than the actual abundance or the actual scarcity. And this is it's sort of like the membrane we were talking about earlier. There's what's actually happening, and then there's the attitude you have towards it. And this is really important because sometimes you can't get away. Like there is a world in which Nicole literally cannot, doesn't have the village, doesn't have the husband, doesn't have these things, cannot get away. And yet, if you let yourself get trapped in scarcity mode, you will never get out of it. Like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I want to talk a little bit about like a very dumb way that I approach this, which is I, Peter, an idiot, plan to live forever. That's the plan. I'm just not going to die. It's a very simple plan. Okay. The stage where most people die, I'm going to skip that part and just keep on living. Now, one could argue that this is not a realistic plan. One could theoretically make the case that this is pretty unlikely. But if I let myself sit here and start counting down the years and dwelling on how long it is until I die, I will freeze up and be paralyzed and be Nicole in early 2023, just being like, I can't breathe. I can't. Which, one could argue this is an unhealthy coping mechanism, but it's a very effective one for me. I'm just going to live forever.
I mean, and this podcast is all about training your brain, right? Like
Yeah.
that is what helps you.
Tricking
That's
your
not
brain
really, that's
even.
not necessarily tricking your brain. It's not necessarily what's going to help everyone, but I do think that there's a benefit somewhere on the scale for anyone, right? There is also, plenty of extremes, and it's worth being
Oh, yes.
mindful of.
You can absolutely take this to a bad extreme.
So for example, the Peter that I met in 2016 fully believed that money would just always come. And Peter has fairy blessings, which he can get into later on. But and to be fair, it has worked very well for you. But you are a particularly ambitious, prolific person. And so I think that that's part of why it's worked for you. But to believe that money is just always going to come around and you don't really have to like worry about budgets and not think about it, and I'm just going to splurge because it'll be fine, that could really lead to someone to like going in pretty deep in debt. So
Yeah. It did. I was pretty deep in debt.
without the ability to get out of it.
Yes. So yes, there's definitely, as with all things, moderation. Don't just follow this. Don't use this as an excuse to do very stupid things. But I want to talk about abundance mode specifically in two fields, which is creativity and dating / friendship / that kind of thing, because I think those are the two areas where it is most noticeable as a detriment to be in scarcity mode. So again, I told this episode on the first episode of the podcast, but I had a collaborator once who said, I know that I'm going to die. And I was like, you idiot. You haven't learned my secret yet. It's just not die. This was in the golf club. I should specify. This is a fellow golf player. And he knew he was only going to play X number more games of golf in his life. And so if you're only going to play, let's say you play twice a week, and that's 100 games a year, and you're only going to live for another 50 years, that's another 5,000 games in your life. That is a lot, but it's not infinity. And so if you're only going to play 5,000 games...
Every time you play a game, well, that's one less game you get to play.
Yeah. So you have to make every game count. Now, there's a beauty to making every day count and seizing the day. But my friend's attitude was like, every game of golf has to be the best game of golf it can be. It has to be perfect because I only have 5,000. I'm good. In the example, it was actually, it was tournaments. There we go. I'm only going to enter in 100 more tournaments in my life because that's how many there are. So with only 100 tournaments left to go, I need to enter every tournament with the best everything I can to win. And so he would lock up. I think I speak about this a lot on the show. I am very aware of this physical sensation of like locking up and shutting down, and I notice it when I get into fights, and I notice it when I'm in scarcity mode, and I hate it. I hate this feeling. It never leads to good things. And so my friend, getting ready for a tournament, would lock up, and you know what happens when you lock up before a tournament? You play really badly. So he would play tournaments, and they would just kind of suck, and it would be like the philosophy of make every tournament perfect meant that the tournaments kind of sucked. Like it was a self-fulfilling, a self-defeating philosophy. And so, whereas I was like, oh, fortunately I have my secret, which I'm going to live together forever. So I would go into every tournament and have fun and have a good time. And as you recall, Nicole, I'm now a professional golfer.
You are also immortal, so it's really worked for you.
It's really handy because I wasn't in scarcity mode, because I was in abundance mode of like, look, I want to try something in this tournament and see what happens. Oh, that actually worked really well. Whereas if you're in like, no, it's got to be perfect, you are sticking rigidly to whatever. Like again, I'm just going to say locking up because that's what makes sense to my heart. If you have a better term for it, please chime in.
Well, no, it's an executive function. Like you're having a problem like actually functioning, and that is, I mean, I do have that all the time in when have got stuff going on, or even when I'm trying to relax, right? If I know that I'm going to have a morning without the kids and I can do I'm free. Why am I always complaining about the kids? But anyway, I'm free. And sometimes I have so much trouble deciding how to spend that free time, that relaxation time, that I just spend it scrolling and then it's over. And it's like,
yeah, because it's
why?
limited, because you're in scarcity mode. Yeah.
And I just can't decide on like doing something that's fun. So I do nothing instead.
Yeah. So scarcity mode, I think, destroys creativity and downtime. I think that's a really good point. Like if you see this a lot with trips to Disneyland. Like, this is the once in a lifetime trip. Got to make it perfect for the kids. Everyone's going to have an amazing time. And people, I mean, you can't
You can't live
go
up
into
to
it being
that.
like, yeah, you can't live up to it. Perfectly put. Yeah, it's about the standards. If you only have one trip to Disneyland in your life, and again, I'm not trying to make this a class thing of like just afford more trips to Disneyland. But if you approach it not as this is our one chance at Disneyland, but like this is one of our many family vacations. Let's have fun. Don't try
Or
to
like
do everything at Disneyland. Enjoy the things that you do.
this is the one for the foreseeable future, right? Like it's not. It's I think it's the finality of it. It's the I can't picture another opportunity, and so it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Accepting that it exists, it's just not clear.
Yeah.
I think is a better way to frame it.
Absolutely. So yeah, with I'm jumping into screenwriting right now, and there is this unhealthy fixation in screenwriting, or more in directing than screenwriting, to be honest, about your debut film. Your debut film is going to be the one that determines the face of your entire career. And the way that I work, I can't do, like my debut board game was Scuttle, which is not, it's over here, it's off camera. And Scuttle's fine. It's a fine game. It didn't define my career. It didn't affect my 50th game.
That sounds awful because I don't know about you, but anything I've ever done, even if I eventually got good at it, the first thing I did sucked. Like you need learning experiences. You need to be able to make mistakes and get that experience. So to have that much pressure on the first thing that you do, that sounds like my version of hell. Like that is awful.
A lot of these sort of aphorisms, like I'm sure you've heard / I've used the one, every writer has 100,000 bad words in them in the way of the good words. You got to start writing to get those bad words out of the way so you can get to the good words. This is just a way of piercing scarcity mode. There's a thing like redraft, like writing a blank page is horrible. No one wants to sit down and write from a blank page. It's called a vomit draft. It's literally just like get some words on the page because it's easier and more fun to edit the words than it is to write the words. So just write something bad. It's a common philosophy. Just write the bad version of the thing and then you can write the good one. And it's to get out of that scarcity mode. It's this attitude of like, it's got to be perfect first time or you're not a real artist or whatever. That is flagrantly not true. That is not a thing at all. It's funny to use the golf club example because sports are a weird thing where the younger you are, the better chance you have. Like I can't be a professional basketball player at my ripe old age of 38. It's just not an option. So if I wanted that, I would have been in such scarcity mode in my teenage years.
Sure. But even then, like those teenagers have been playing it for years. Like you start super young so that when you get to that point, you do have that skill set and that experience. And yes, I would not thrive on the, if I don't get into this college to be in this program, then I have no shot at like, whoa, hell no. But it's definitely not the first time that they're stepping foot on a court, you know?
Yeah. Scarcity raises the stakes and higher stakes are more intimidating and more intimidating makes you lock up and shuts down your executive function. And it's this horrible loop. Whereas abundance mode is this lovely, like, I can throw away a day on a weird idea because I'm going to live forever. I've got more days ahead of me. I don't care if my first 17 games are bad. I'm writing a screenplay right now. It's my first movie. It's okay if it sucks because that's how first movies are. They mostly suck. Like we're all craving the Wikipedia page that says like the first time he ever put pen to paper, he made To Kill a Mockingbird. And it was the greatest novel of all time. And it's like, cool. You can't really aim for that, and you can't let that get in your head. It's just all very unhealthy.
Yeah, it's interesting how you framed it as scarcity mode makes you lock up, right? And how that is obviously very true for me, you know, with the Taylor Swift example. But also, it's interesting to acknowledge how that's not always the case, especially when it comes to like ADHD. Like I thrive when I'm running at a time and I have a deadline. Like if I know something expected of me by the end of the time, that is when I'm just like fully buried in it. So it's really interesting to see that relation.
Yes, I definitely don't want to go in saying like abundance mode always good, scarcity mode always bad. I want to talk about my dating example, and then I want to circle back to this exact point, and we'll actually use the wait but why, the monkey that we always talk about. So dating / personal relationships generally, again, this came up in the first episode. I met you and I met Anne, who we mentioned earlier, and I was like, these are two groovy chicks. That was the exact thought that I had.
It was 1960, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. We've been friends for a long time. I'm immortal.
You've been forever.
And so I was like, well, what my heart wants to do is just move into the hotel room because I might never see them again. And this is my chance to be friends with these people and just see them nonstop for 4 days. And that is not an attractive energy.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, I'm just imagining the Peter that did that. I thought you were super cool and I wanted to hang out with you. But now I'm imagining the version of Peter that did that leaned into that. And I'd be like, no thanks.
No, thank you. And I witnessed this. Not that I'm a super popular, famous, beloved person, but I have a bit of a profile now. I'm kind of interesting to hang out with, and I'm distinctive. I think it's fair to say I am interesting. On one hand, I'm very boring, but on the other hand, I'm interesting. I'm memorable. Thank you. And especially in the field of board games, in the golf club, people are like, man, this guy runs the golf club. He's so cool. And so I definitely witnessed this like, hi, Peter, can we be friends, please? Can we be friends? And I'm like, it's so immediately off-putting. It's such an immediately unattractive trait. Mm-hmm. I want to know if you, Nicole, have experienced this in dating as a pretty groovy chick, as a good-looking lady.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I haven't dated a ton, right? I dated when I was 17, got married. Not when I was 17, but married that person.
Yeah, he was 45, wasn't he? It was a really problematic relationship.
Yeah, but this was in 1930, so it was fine.
That was normal. It was fine.
And then I spent a summer dating and then met Alex. And so I haven't dated a ton, right? But I don't have any memorable moments of that with like dating specifically, but I can tell you that I probably don't have memorable moments of dating that specifically because I would have noped the F out. Like it just would have hard. So I didn't even get to the point where it'd be memorable.
Yeah, I'm not as good looking as you. I think we can all agree with that. And I've definitely had times where someone is just like latched on and it's unpleasant. It's just this really icky kind of feeling. And the ideal is you mutually latch on, and that's infatuation / limerence / true love, however you want to put it. But this part of it too is that I'm polyamorous. We've discussed this before. And so like the idea of only having one partner is such terrifying scarcity mode to me. I'm like one person. Whereas as a monog, as we call you, you are much more like, yeah, why would I want more than that? That sounds awful.
Yeah, no, that sounds, and that's weird. Yeah, because monogamy doesn't feel like scarcity to me. It did when I was ending my last golf club membership. That definitely felt like, yes, that felt a little. This is it. This is my life now.
Gonna be alone forever. That's how it works.
Well, not even alone forever, but like monogamy in that scenario where I'm like like, should I stay? Should I think about leaving? It's like, well, if I stay, like this is what it is. If you're not like this is
I understand what you're saying. Yes. You don't have other options when you're a monog.
A monogamous in a not happy marriage, like
that's a bad combo. Don't do that. Problem solved.
That is ultimate scarcity. Yeah.
And then I'm trying to read a screenplay today at the moment. I just read Youth in Revolt, which is a very average Michael Cera film from about 15 years ago. You probably don't remember it if you even saw it. And the entire plot of this movie, the whole plot, is the Michael Cera character trying to lose his virginity. And it's just like every page just like he burns down Berkeley. He like commits crimes. He runs from the police. He poisons someone. Like he does everything he can to get rid of the mythical V card. And I actually just messaged the other day being like, man, there was a there was a decade-long chunk where American media was really obsessed with virginity between Britney Spears' American Pie, American Beauty, and Youth in Revolt, which was a book first. Like, and it's the same thing. It's this scarcity mode of like you have to join the club. Board game designers have it with their first published design. Every designer has this in mind, and I absolutely did. I'm not trying to say I'm immune to either of these things. Like, once I get signed, I'm a proper real designer. I'm actually legit in a way I definitely wouldn't be otherwise. And as a publisher, and you were a publisher with me again. I don't know if you experienced this, but like you meet these hungry designers.
I thought you were going to say hungry hippos.
It's just like, calm down. Just calm down, please.
It's really interesting that you mention. I know it's not really related to Scarcity and Abundance. Maybe it is, but when you have that feeling of, I just need to get there, and then I'm a professional. I don't know about you, but for me, the goalpost just keeps moving, right?
Yeah.
Like
endlessly.
Maybe that's a imposter syndrome. Maybe that's just like, okay, what's next? I'm an ambitious person, and I want to achieve. But for me, I've never made it. I want to keep going. I want to keep achieving.
I think the overlap behind scarcity balance generally, and this specific kind of threshold that we're talking about is what's called storytelling, which is when you imagine the 7 next steps and you tell a story in your mind of this is how it'll be. So as an unpublished designer, once I've got a design published, then I will be making money from it. I will have professional respect. I will have all these reviews popping up that I see other people do. Every publisher will want my next game. Like, there's this assumption of all these things that come after. And then there's also the stigma in both ways of like, when you're a virgin, we have a term for that in the English language, which is weird in and of itself. You are a virgin. This is an identity fact about you that you want to shed this, or in the case of being an unpublished designer, you want to attain being a published designer. It's a whole new world. And scarcity is the same thing. Like, I cannot leave the kids and will never be able to leave the kids, or it'll be a decade, which is infinite time. Or I will only make 100 games in my life and they've got to be perfect. It's all storytelling in different ways and not helpful.
I understand why it's so compelling to tell yourself that, right? Because it's kind of like first impressions, which I know we've talked about. Like, when you debut a film and now your name is attached to this thing that you are proud of, it can be very, like, there's a lot of vulnerability that goes into, like, this is a thing that I did. And if it's not successful, well, now you feel like everyone just knows you as someone who did something that's not successful. So I can understand, like, when you're pitching to publishers and they don't like your thing, or it comes out and it's not successful, why that would feel like it's a step back, or possibly even precludes you from ever having success, because now that's attached to your name. As someone who's not creative, who has a lot of anxiety of even releasing these podcasts, like, I fully get that. And it's just interesting to kind of,
if you want to help out, just leave some really mean comments about Nicole, just below, just really just burn her, just destroy her in the comments. This is helpful, right? This is what you wanted.
That's a good point, Peter. Actually, you know what? To me, it's. I don't even know that would bother me. I think it'd be funny. I mean, obviously, don't hurt my feelings on purpose, right? But to me, it's like, if it's so boring that no one wants to watch it, that to me is worse than, like, right, you're dumb, you're stupid. Well, you're still listening to me, so you're still choosing to spend your time and then spend your time commenting. That doesn't hurt as much as, like, did you see that cheat? Ooh, that's embarrassing. Like, that to me is like nope.
My old golf partner many years ago once said that she didn't care about comments that were like, look at this whale, or like, what a B word. Like, she was like, cool, it's just people when you see someone, oh, you must witness this with your kids. I've definitely seen it with Henry. When someone is trying to hurt you and you can just see that whole process, it's toothless. When when a kid is like, well, there's an example I read years ago about a famous author whose kid hit that age and was like, well, Mum, I don't think your books are very good. and the mum had to like hide her face because she was going to laugh, because she's like, kid, I've done this for 20 years. You would not believe the reviews I've gotten. Like your attempt to like strike deep into my heart is not going to do anything.
It also helps if not that you wouldn't respect your kid, but like not a person who's read a ton of books in her field, right? Like it's not like a critic who understands what the competition is and is deciding that. So when it's coming from someone that you wouldn't go to for advice, it's a lot less painful.
My favorite Tolkien quote, the guy who wrote Lord of the Rings, is the praise of the praiseworthy is the greatest thing you can ever get. Like, praise from someone who you admire is the most important thing. But my old golf partner would say, like, she didn't care about comments like, you stupid idiot. But when someone, like, deconstructed her argument and pointed out the problems with it, then she was like, oh, those are the ones that, like, sit with you. Or, like, you didn't even research this properly. You're like, no, I did. I swear I researched it properly. I promise.
So if you want to know how to hurt my feelings, become someone I respect or be someone I respect, and then tell me how incompetent I am with bring the receipts, right? And then I like crush my soul.
Oh, it hurts. It's painful. My favorite board game reviewer is a guy called Dan Thorett, and he's on a very small love affair with my games, which is very, very lovely for me. But the Scuttle, the game I mentioned earlier, was the first game I ever sent him, and he reviewed it, and he didn't review it. He was like, this is not worth reviewing, and passed it off to someone else on his team, and they panned it. And I was like, oh, this could not be worse. It's my Be Real, so you're going to be my Be Real today. So a few points I want to make. One was that these thresholds that we point out as arbitrary are not, and this is what makes it challenging, because like, publishers actually are more likely to look at your game if you're a published designer. Now, it does not lead to the land of milk and honey like you imagine. What's more likely to happen is that your first game will get 3 reviews and then no one will ever talk about it again. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Like, oh, it's almost worse. I often say it's better to sign with a publisher who like you're excited about than just like, it's better to say no to a bad publisher than say yes to any publisher. Your husband and I had a great example of this lately. We just had a huge game signed that we actually got an offer on and we passed for various reasons. And we're so glad we did, because this new publisher we're way more excited about working with.
But the more times that the more games you have to pitch, the more likely you are to get publishers interested in them, right? Like if you have one game, it's very possible that no one's going to take it, right? But if you have 100, someone's going to take something eventually. Even if they're wrong, even if it sucks, like someone's going to take it.
If you want to hear more about my thoughts on game design, I have 109 episodes of a different podcast called Fun Problems. Check it out. And then similarly, like some people are like uncomfortable with the idea of sleeping with a virgin, which makes sense because of society and complexity. And so like there is a material benefit to losing that status or losing that stigma. And so I'm not trying to say like, oh, just never, like nothing matters. Things matter. It's just weird and messy. I want to talk about how abundance is useful for me, which is just that it unlocks me, it frees me up, it makes you more experimental and playful. John Cleese has, I don't know if it's a book or a speech, but I've read it or seen it, about the open modes and the closed mode. And this is very close to Scarcity and Abundance. And the way that John Cleese is creative is he books out a period of time, a long period of time. He makes sure that he doesn't have any phones on or any obligations or like no one knocking at the door. And he lets himself just noodle around for half an hour before even getting started to kind of like open up the channels and let the flow go. If you're like, I've got to get this done, I've got 5 minutes, you're not going to have your best ideas. Whereas if you can get to open mode, which is the neighbor of abundance mode, with games, my best-selling game is Things and Rings, which I was just like, I don't know, this is an idea. I threw it together. Had I been like, I only get 100 games, I would not have even touched that one. Like it's weird and experimental, and I didn't think that anyone would go for it. Turns out a lot of people went for it, which is very flattering. But like by being in abundance mode of like, I'm going to play with whatever idea I feel like playing with, I was able to make that, as opposed to locking down and being like, no, it's got to be the best, Things and Rings is never going to hit the BGG top 100, and that's fine. Most games don't. But if every game I made had to hit this is the ranking system for board games, Board Game Geek. If every game I made had to hit that, I wouldn't have found a whole bunch of gems along the way, including probably all of my biggest hits.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that we rarely know. I think things rarely turn out the way we expect them to, and we rarely know what's going to hit, right? So those two factors, even if you think it's going to be the best game in the world in your head, it's not going to come out the way you expect it to. And that might not be what the market wants. What really they want is something completely like that you would have thrown away the idea.
Yeah. Yep. Stephen King's first published novel was Carrie, and there's a very famous story that his wife found it in the trash can, picked it out, read it, and was like, "What are you doing, you idiot? Like, don't throw this out."
Is that true?
It's an often told story. I wasn't there, but my understanding is that it's true.
Fact check. Someone fact check Peter. He's
What
all
was the
about
other
fact
one?
checking.
There was a fact check earlier too. We've got all kinds of facts to check. So I want to talk about how these can not just be models to examine things through, which is inherently interesting, but also tools that you can use. And so I want to talk about the procrastination monkey. There is an amazing blog post by the website waitbutwhy.com, which is one of my favorite sites. It's all about models. Like Tim Urban, who writes it, clearly thinks in models and systems. We should get him on the show. Genuinely, that's an amazing idea. Great idea, Peter. He thinks in these models and he builds these models. And so a lot of his blog posts are just full of these models. We'll discuss several of them in the future. And including this one genuinely changed my life. This blog post is the reason I'm in America. And he talks about the procrastination monkey as the monkey who, as soon as the gas is off, as soon as you aren't in urgent mode, as soon as you're not in scarcity mode, takes the wheel and just is like, hey, we're going to do this right now. Whereas I can't remember the name of the monster who, as soon as you're in scarcity mode, I'm using my terms intermingled with his. Scarcity mode is what allows you to take the realm and get rid of the procrastination monkey and get stuff done. Did that ramble make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. I feel like I got lost halfway through. So you spoke about the fact that deadlines are a big motivator
I speak Peter,
for you.
though, so.
You're the worst person to
yes.
ask.
For some reason, I don't know if it's, freezing or being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, I just need to get to that point, but I can do the exact same tasks, but if I have a deadline, like it is night and day. It is like a race. It is like an internal motivator. I don't know what it is, but it is effective.
Yeah. There is abundance mode. Today, Nicole, you can do anything. Scarcity mode, you need to get this one thing done. Now, if you live your entire life in scarcity mode, you would go nuts. We were talking about this with dieting actually the other day. I was saying that I'm starting to try. I'm not very good at it. I'm trying to like map out my food ahead of time and then stick to that plan. And you were like, I would feel like I was trapped in a coffin and being sent down a river, which is a standard part of your Wednesdays anyway. And so that's like scarcity mode or extreme limitations not working for you. But something like a deadline does work for you.
Yeah. And I mean, to the point of the podcast, it's all about understanding your own brain. So maybe some people completely crumble under pressure and deadlines are the worst thing for them. Not saying, hey, everyone's like me, but I think it's just about being mindful about when it's going to work for you, when it's not.
Yeah. I need external obligations. So I have a Patreon that I post to twice a month. I have, for screenwriting, a friend of mine recently was like, look, let's be writing, let's be pages partners. I can't remember the term he used, but like, let's swap pages every 2 weeks. Cool. I will never get to the time of meeting with him without having the pages to swap. I can't do it. And so it's not strictly abundance mode, scarcity mode, but it lives in that same space of like, I need that external obligation to get a thing done. It's so effective.
Yeah. I mean, on the topic of external validation, right? That the external pressure, that commitment to another person or thing. I'm really good at what I do. Like, I have a mind for business. I love spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And so to the point where Peter has made it a phrase to say, you need a Nicole, right? And I'm so like, to toot my own horn, I'm really good at what I do and I like what I do.
You're
cannot
probably the best Nicole
run
I know.
my own company. That's not kind to Nicole Amato. Like, come on. There's Nicole Brait. Come on. Screwed. Anyway, so I can't run my own business. I can't. I've tried. There's something about it where if I'm not required to another person to like get out of bed and like answer this thing or do this thing because I'm only letting myself down, obviously there's something, it's just not enough of a motivator. And so I call myself like, I'm a sidekick. I'm a number 2. And I love that. Like, I know that about myself. And that's stopping me from like being like, I can do this better, because I can't. I need that external validation.
You would not have started this podcast without me. And the second
Oh,
I
no.
suggested the podcast, you're like, I'm in, and I will sidekick us to the moon. I wrote down two thoughts that I forgot to mention earlier. One is, and this is going to sound weird with my anti-monogamy stance, but like you and I, and this applies more broadly than you and I, but you and I are going to be in each other's lives forever. And there is a real abundance mode to that for me of like, I became aware 5-6 years ago that like Nicole and I will be in the old folks' home, kvetching about old times, until
You're
we
not
die.
getting
We
old.
are going to be in each other's lives. We're BFFs. It's going to happen. I'm not saying I go to everyone and commit like this, but they're like my literal sisters, you, Willow, and Elizabeth, are going to be in my life forever. And so that gives this real abundance to the relationship of like, I'm having a 40th birthday party and I would love my sisters to be there from Australia. It's a big ask. But if they're not, it's not like I'm not going to see them again. Like they're going to be around forever. I think this is why monogamy generally, but I think marriage specifically is people trying to create abundance within that relationship. When you're married to someone, you are promised abundance with that person forever, and it gets rid of the anxiety of losing them. It removes the scarcity mode. Commitment is what I've just invented the term commitment.
It's a good point, Peter. Yeah, I get the benefit of being in abundance mode with your friends as well. So there are times where we have different lives. We live like across the country from each other. There are times where we don't speak for weeks, months, and with so many of my friends leaning toward acquaintances, there's a point in time where it's just like, it's been too long. We used to hang out a lot, but we just lost touch.
Right.
And with you, I know that even if I haven't heard from you in 6 months, which is very unlikely because we're in like 50 different chats together, but there's not a point in time where I can't just reach out and
Right.
we'd pick right back up.
Yeah, it's those friends who, when you talk to them after a long break, it feels like a day has passed at most. I'm going to talk about a member of the golf club who really wanted a golfing partner. This is what she wanted. She desperately wanted a golfing partner. And so my advice to her was, cool, play a single game with a whole bunch of dating partners. Sorry, whoops. I pierced the metaphor. Go, have a single game with everyone and just see who you click with. And instead, do you know what she did, Nicole?
She immediately went into scarcity mode. No.
She would do stats. She'd be like, this is the person with the best stats. This has to be the person who is my golfing partner. And would fixate on that person and not even consider the others, and then maybe end up being in a golfing partnership for a bit, and it would end, and she would take a year to, and it was just like, what are you doing? Like, you are self-imposing scarcity mode in a way that you absolutely don't need to, because for various reasons, she had a list of people keen to sign up to be her golfing partner. Like, there was already a list, and she was like, yeah, but rather than go on one game with each of these people, I would rather fix it. It was inane to me. It was I've said this to her. If she's listening, this is not a surprise, but like, it's just bizarre to me.
And to clarify, you're not saying, hey, monogamous person, be polyamorous. You're just saying...
No, not at all.
Hey, I'm gonna drop the metaphor now because I can't even translate that to golf partners. But understand what your options are before you dive in and commit.
Even more importantly, the thing that we said at the start, it's more important to mentally shift into abundance mode, even if you're not in abundance mode. By going on a bunch of dates, you can convince yourself there are lots of people out there. Whereas if you don't go on dates, you get in your head like there is only one. There's one person out there, and it must be that one, or else, it's not a good approach.
Yeah, I mean, when I was deciding whether to leave my marriage, a big thought was, what if I regret it? What if this is what it is? What if this is the best that it is? And because I had no context for what else was out there, for what my options were, and I didn't have a abundance mindset that like, yeah, other people would be interested in me. I could find someone that I connect with better. It locked me up for a long time.
Yeah. Yep. And then the last thing I have on this is celebrity, which is a weird thing to say. So this is kind of the flip side of what I was saying earlier, where some people meet me and they're like, oh, you're the designer who does fun problems or whatever. and they're like, it is important to me that you specifically are my friend. Like, not just that I have friends, because, there's 8 billion people in the world. If you want friends, you can find friends. But once you get fixated on like you specifically need to be my friend, then you're in this very hyper fixated scarcity mode. This also happens within dating where it's like, I've met this person. They are the one. This person is the one. Even if you've never been on a date with them, you sometimes like build this, it's storytelling. You build this entire fantasy in your head, and you don't just want to date, you want to date this person specifically. And now you're in scarcity mode. There's not 8 billion people for you to date. There is one.
Sometimes you're putting so much pressure on it, you want to date the person that you're now projecting this person to be and not
Yes.
who they actually are, because you're telling yourself this story and to the point where it may morph and you're not even a real person anymore.
100%. I have been lucky enough in my life to meet various cool celebrities who I already admired. And I feel it. I feel my body locking up, being like, oh, I need to act in a specific way. And if you know me, this is very un-Peter-like. I need to make sure to be the right person to be friends with them, as opposed to being me and hoping that they'll be friends with me, which is what I'm like most. I'm just like, I'm going to be me, and I will attract the people as friends or dating partners or whatever who like me. When you get into this like fixation with scarcity mode, it's like, well, I need to not be me in case that person doesn't like me. I need to be whatever that person likes. That's not healthy. That's not good. It's the same as, for me anyway. It's exactly the same as like, I'm going to make the game that most catches my interest right now versus I must make the perfect game. It's trying to hit a very specific target, scarcity mode, versus I'm going to do whatever and see what comes about it. Abundance mode. Any last thoughts on scarcity mode, abundance mode, how to use them, how to avoid them, how to control them?
Yeah, be aware of them. Be aware of what motivates you the most and where you fall on the scale.
Yeah.
For it to be useful.
This could be the tagline of the show, but just having a name for it is so useful with talking about it with yourself, talking about it with others. I cannot count the number of times we've been in a conversation, we've been like, oh, wait, this is scarcity mode. It's like, oh, well, now we have the entire framework and all the tools and all the paths and all the systems to get out of it.
Things just start connecting. Like, you relate it to like, oh, I remember that time I felt this way and this is what happened and this is how I got out of it. And you can see the map.
Yeah, absolutely. Nicole, what do you have on your desk?
I have caffeine-free Diet Coke, and I've been staring at this a lot because I did not mean to grab the caffeine-free version, but that is what I've had for the last 90 minutes, and I don't think I've ever been more mad at a can in my life.
So I love caffeine-free Diet Coke because I'm not a huge what do you guys call it? Soda. I'm not a huge soda drinker. I just don't love the mouthfeel. But there are some meals like pizza or maybe burgers where it's just like it pairs perfectly. But I don't want to have caffeine at 8 p.m. for whatever reason. And so caffeine-free Diet Coke, A, is great for that purpose. And B, sometimes I think of it as my mouth is bored. Sometimes I'm like, I'm going to go have a snack. And I'm like, I'm not actually hungry at all, but my mouth is bored. And I'll get a caffeine-free Diet Coke to keep my mouth occupied so it doesn't shovel calories into my body.
I mean, I'm not the kind of person who really notices a difference between the caffeine and the regular, but I just need so much caffeine that I'm like, this is why I went to the freezer or the fridge in the first place. This is not what I wanted.
Actually, I had a different one planned, but now that I think about it, this is what's on my desk. And this is actually very specifically, you will remember this. This is a Lady and the Tiger notebook, which caused a big fight that maybe we'll talk about some other time. You have one too?
I said I quit.
Oh, you quit. But the reason this is on my desk is because as we were talking, I was like, ooh, I want to, let me scratch out someone's name so I don't accidentally dox them. As we were talking, I jotted down the thoughts that I wanted to make sure to bring in because my brain is very, very unreliable. So I wrote BFF, dating, and celebrity because I was like, those are points that I want to hit in this podcast, but I don't want to be like, hey, Nicole, stop talking. I have a new thought.
Your BFF is dating a celebrity?
Yeah. Yeah, did you not know? And so just by having if I didn't have this literally on my desk, I would have either had to start going through drawers and by the time I find it, the idea's gone, or I would have had to just try to remember them. And trying to remember things is one of the worst possible uses of your brain. Brains are not good at that. There's a quote, I think it's from the guy who wrote Getting Work Done, which is, again, I'm going to paraphrase, the brain is an amazing processing machine and a terrible memory machine. We are very good at processing stuff, but we're bad at holding on to things. So write it down, write it down, write it down.
It's really interesting that you mentioned that, because I have a notebook. This was given to me for my birthday by Julie in a very lovely set. And I keep a notebook on my desk all the time. And I have so many of these old notebooks, just different versions, different things, different points in life, different meetings. And I realized recently, like, I'm not writing it down to take action on it. I'm not writing it down for later. I'm writing it down for like this moment. And I'm never going to flip through these notebooks again. I'm never going to look at it again. I felt so guilty. Like, why did I take those notes? And I didn't even take, there's something that I lost in there, but it's not about that. It's about remembering it in this moment. And if I did, I've done my job. And it changed how I take the notes. It changed everything about how I operate, how I felt about throwing old ones out. Like I had scarcity mindset. Like, if I throw this out, I'm going to lose this one version of this note. What if something was important there? Yeah. Completely changed it.
Yeah. When you believe that you will only have like, or maybe when I was a kid, this is so stupid. When I was about like 10 or 11, I had this real moment of like, I've already had my best ideas. Because it had been, I don't know, a year since I'd come up with an idea that I loved, and a year ago I'd had an amazing idea that I loved. Shockingly, none of these ideas have lasted into my 30s / beyond. But at 11, I was like, that's it. Best ideas are behind me now. And only recently was I like, I still have that mentality sometimes. Like I mentioned, Things and Rings, Critter Kitchen are like my 2 biggest hits. And part of my brain is like, yeah, that's the peak. That's the best I'll ever do. And 0% would I complain if those were the best that I ever did. That's a very, very successful career that I'm very happy of and proud of. But right now, as we record this, I have this game blowing up on Board Game Geek called Rolling Deep. It might actually be live on Kickstarter at the moment this release. No way, it'll be long past by now. And that's gonna do better than my best ever games that are behind me, and my next game might do better again. It's abundance mode. I tied it back in.
It's the unknown that's scary, right? It's not knowing, because you've had some pretty good successes, right? So you have no reason to believe something that you haven't even thought of could surpass it.
Right.
So the comparing that to the known is so hard.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a question from the audience. Today we have Eric. Eric is a fellow game designer / golf club member, I've decided. He's in the golf club. He says, many people say there's a method to my madness when defending what to them is organized chaos. Is there a benefit to preserving this chaotic system, or would everyone be better served by becoming actually organized? I feel like we're going to have the same answer to this, so I want to hear your answer.
I love this question because I think that it is perfect for this podcast. I think, obviously, if you, in theory, could be the most organized version of yourself and anyone could go into your computer and say, oh, this is where, Peter, in some crazy, wacky world, passed away. Just suspend disbelief here, right? Like, he passed away. Would be...
That doesn't make sense because I'm going to live forever. I'm not following.
Suspend disbelief.
This hypothetical isn't making sense because
I've died. I've died.
Makes sense, yeah.
You are looking at...
Wait, were you alive? I didn't even notice.
I've died, and now you're coming to look at my computer and make sure all my stuff is in order, like my financials and what did I want for my, for my funeral at the clubhouse and all these things, right? At the golf club, yeah. And ideally, it would be like tucked away in nice, neat little packages so you could find exactly what you needed and you had a path forward, right? No one lives in the ideal. And the scarcity mindset of like it's not worth it if it's not perfect, like so many times freezes me up from actually organizing in any sense. But this is super helpful. It's nonsense, but I'm not going to not use what works for my brain just because it's not perfect.
Yeah,
that's my answer.
Okay, I have a nested preamble before I answer. One is, part of recording these podcasts is you just don't remember what you talked about last week because we have these conversations in real life and I do so much in a week and so on and so forth. Secondly, I think I might have said exactly that last week. So I'm meta concerned that I might have said this before. But my favorite author / blogger for a long time was a man called Ferret Steinmetz. His book, The Uploaded, is one of my all-time favorites. I think it's a masterpiece. It's like shockingly underappreciated. And he, in his blog, talked about what he called condom theory, which is that condoms are 99% effective. And so some people are like, oh, they're not 100% effective. What's even the point? And 99% is so much more than zero. It's so much more. But exactly what you said, we absolutely get stuck in, if I go to the gym, I won't get a full workout in, so I'll just skip it. And it's like, no, just going to the gym and doing half a workout is so much better. Like, it's probably 80% of doing a full workout, which sounds crazy, but like that's how bodies work.
And it's more than just what you get out of that moment. Like, if you're looking calorie to calorie, sure, you're gonna burn half the amount of calories you would. We can look at that. But maintaining the habit also has its own benefits that you just cannot put a calculation on. Oh my God, that's I've never thought about it like that. That has genuinely changed the way I'm going to think about going to the gym. That's incredible. The other example I want to use is one of my friends, McKinley, was saying that she once, this is like 3 steps removed. My friend McKinley once read a story about someone's therapist saying, they went to the therapist and they were like, so what happens is I buy this beautiful to-do list organizer and I write down all my to-do items and it's perfect and I keep track of it all. And then after 6 weeks, the system gets overwhelming and I get frustrated and I throw it all away. Can you find me and then 2 weeks later, I'll start the process again. Can you find me a system that works? And the therapist says, you've got a system that works for 6 out of 8 weeks. That's amazing. Like, yeah, it doesn't go forever, but it doesn't have to go forever to be an effective system. So to answer Eric's question, like, is there a benefit to preserving the chaotic systems, or would everyone be better by being actually organized? Actually organized is kind of a myth. Like, my system is I do everything digitally. I throw, like, as soon as I've written this down, it's useless to me. I need it maybe for the next data reference and then it's gone forever. Just like you were saying, it's a short-term thing. That's not a wrong system. I don't know that it's a myth. Like, I could be more organized. I could be more objectively organized. So someone who doesn't know me could come in and find what they needed to find, right? It's an unrealistic expectation. And if we have a system that works for you, that is so much better than, like, if I have a system that works for me 80% of the time, that is so much better than getting overwhelmed and noping out of a system that is perfect and someone could come along, because it's just not gonna be effective.
Yeah, I think the thing that I want to push back on is this idea of an objectively correct system. And you said more organized, and you are right. There is definitely a spectrum no matter what, but like, there's not a single system of organized that works. In the same way as you always get the advice right every day, doesn't work for me. Hate it. Can't do it. I would rather die. I would literally rather never write again than have to write every day. Yeah, I'm saying I'd rather the impossible.
I'm not saying like there is one single way to be more organized, but there are objectively organized people, objectively organized systems. This ain't it. This notebook where I write it and I never look back on it after the day I wrote it, that's not an organized system, but it's organized for me. Right. I could be more organized. I could be someone, like, I could have my files in neat little things instead of in piles on my desk. But if I don't keep that system, it's useless. Yeah. So I think our shared answer is what works for you is better than an ideal system that is not possible, is not attainable. Yes. Cool. Well, I think that's all for today, but hopefully people got something out of it and you learned how your brain worked a little better. And that Peter's never going to die. Yeah. Isn't that nice? Isn't that a nice thought for everyone? So jealous. Thank you so much for listening to Blueprints for Life. If you'd like to support the show and get advanced sneak previews of upcoming episodes, check out the Patreon in the show notes. If you'd like to write us a question from the audience, the email address is life@blueprints.fm. And if you found anything in this episode useful, please tell a friend. Cheers.